Good morning, Monday morning here on the farm. Jason here, Birchfield family farm, and we are just outside of Oxford, Ohio. Pretty chilly morning this morning, and dipping down into the 30s at night. It has been crisp, but it's that time of year. We need to do a cattle, sheep, and a chicken move today. Take you along for that. Before we do that here, I got a good word for you today this is from John 21. A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Hey, just a reminder today that the Lord honors faith. I believe that that's what he's saying here is that this is pointing us to faith. That's what faith is, not seeing and still believing. And I just want to encourage us today, however big or small, the ways that you feel the Lord calling you and asking you to step out. He always honors faith. And it amazes me that he honors that faith, but it's rarely in the ways that I think that he will. Very unpredictable and mysterious, but he always does. So I encourage you today and this week to step out, take risk, and exercise that faith. Okay, coming into paddock 8 here, taking a look. I went back and checked, and we have had right on 45 days. 45 days since we've been in here, and we have some decent growth in here, but it's really slowing down. We had all the rain, Labor Day, 3 inches of rain, and then we got another inch shortly thereafter that next week, and that's been about the extent of our precipitation. It has really dropped off. It's gotten dry, and of course we know those daylight hours are waning, and just not able to grow the grass like we were. And last year we grazed into November. I'll have to look back, but I think we even went into December. It was a really great late fall and early winter last year, but I don't know that we're going to get that this year unless we'd start to get some rain here. So kind of drying up out here. Let's get them moved. Come on. Taking a look at this guy. He is all grass. That is just hard for me to believe. All grass. Okay, monitoring these pats here. Try and keep an eye on that on the screen grass. We got a steamy one here, and that's looking just about right. It's a little dimple in the middle there, kind of built up, not too runny. Again, if it was too runny, usually tells us we're getting too much protein. Meaning grass is too green and short. It's moving through them too fast. And if it's stacked up, like horse manure, then that's telling us that there's not enough protein. Moving a little slow. So we try and keep the balance right. If they get a little runny, we will, on this green grass, which is very possible, we'll just throw out a little bit of hay and try and balance out that rumen. Just an update on the mineral. We did make the switch to Fertrell's sheep NutriBalancer, and oh wow, yeah, they are, oh man, I need to put some more in here. They are they finally found this. So I was a little worried there in the beginning because it took them about a week. They were not consuming it in the beginning, and then they they finally found it, and we're good. They've been nailing this stuff. And so I was glad to see that. Obviously with our heifer issue that we've talked about, we circled back and upped the magnesium and switched our mineral from the kelp and salt blend, equal parts weight, to for trail sheep NutriBalancer for both cattle and sheep. And that seems to be working out very well. Okay, chickens are moved here. Let's see, we're already busting up. Pat's here, hard at work already. And, once again, three-day rotation here. Look at that, they got this scratched out pretty good already. Always like to take a look at where we came off of, where they got a lot of work to do here. Let's check out this paddock 6. Okay, chickens moved from paddock 6 here by the barns over to 7. Now, I always think it's interesting where that chicken tractor, that eggmobile sits. Right, you've got all this manure here, and the grass always seems to be a little, I don't know, that could be from shade this time of year, keeping in the moisture, but yeah, looking at these, they did a pretty good job here. Really nice eggs off this setup, but they're working for us. I also wanted to speak to just, something that we're learning and that we've learned through this year, just with this being I think this is our 3rd year running through the rotation here, and probably shouldn't have taken us this long to figure this out, but it always seems like the dry times kind of have a way of exposing your weak points. And, just out here, just within the last few weeks, looking at paddocks and stepping back. I think it's always good to step back and kind of have an honest look at what you're doing and be able to constructively critique ways, bring up ways that we can improve. And I think one of those ways is just talking about this concept of overgrazing. And overgrazing is pretty simply defined as whenever your animals come back and take a second bite. Out here, we're most certainly doing that. And it's interesting, overgrazing is not necessarily a function of how many animals or too many animals, but it's a function of time. And so you could overgraze with one cow or one sheep. You just leave it out there for too long. And there's this tendency with livestock to selectively graze. And so they're going to come onto a piece of ground and they're going to graze those plants that they like the best. Incredible sense of smell. They can hone that out, and they do. And so that's one of the problems with set stock grazing and just turning animals out is they might get a whole lot of good stuff as they're determining that. But the problem, if you continue to do that season after season, then your grasses and such, your good stuff disappears, and you get into more of the undesirable plants that they don't really want to eat, and those kind of hang around and go to seed. And so, with a set stock grazing situation, you're pretty much going to have to mow, which I think is one thing that a lot of folks kind of look at grazing cattle or sheep and, I'll just turn them out because there's less labor. Well, it looks that way, but you're going to have to mow more often to keep things in shape over time, from what we've learned. And so that's an advantage, I think, to rotating. Disadvantage to the rotating is your animals don't always they won't always self-medicate and get what they need because they're in a smaller space. So you've got to be sure you're up on your mineral. And I think that for us, I think that's one of my critiques right now on what we're doing is we're taking too much. And I know that there's just such a balance, though. There's so many different parameters, right, to work within here. We're trying to do minimal input agriculture, and so I don't want to mow. So I let them take it down a little lower. It's interesting kind of how the terminology evolves, right? Initially it was, we're grass-fed beef or lamb farmers, right? That's what we do. And then it becomes, well, no, you realize the importance of what they eat, right? But we're grass farmers now, right? We farm grass. That's what we do. Well, now it's even shifting further, and you've got the terminology saying, no, we're not beef farmers, we're not grass farmers. We are, but we're really soil microbe farmers. And so you've got this saying, we are what we eat. Well, we are what our food eats. Well, now we are what our food eats and what that food is eating. So, there's a whole underground biology that we really, as a culture, are really still don't fully understand. And I find it fascinating, these conversations on root exudates and the sugars, underground, that rhizosphere, and what's happening in the root zone of the plants, and the symbiotic relationship that you have between soil microbes and the plants. This great exchange that's happening. And so, one of the things to keeping not only your soil microbes, but your earthworm populations healthy, keeping them up towards the top of that soil, you got to keep it covered. That's just a general principle. And I think we're noticing more and more bare spots here, as we come through the rotation. So it's a function of time. We're leaving them on too long. I think over the winter here, I'm really wanting to step back and take a look at this. And hey, how can we leave more behind? It's such a hard thing to do as a beginning grazer, because you're looking at the grass thinking, oh man, I didn't fully utilize all that I had, right? And so the feeling is, well, I didn't steward this rotation very well, right? Because we left all of this grass behind. But that's not the case. I've got to get away from that thinking, and I know that. And so if overgrazing is a function of time, I think we have to speed up. And I think adding a few more paddocks can help us in that regard. 10 quarter-acre paddocks right now. I think getting into that 14 or 15 paddock range, and also cutting back that time. Maybe trying to go from a 3-day to a 2-day rotation. That would definitely up the labor, though, and that's always a consideration. Again, trying to balance the parameters there. And so, I think the point is, you have to do what works for you on your ground in the location where you are. What is success on the farm? What is success on a piece of ground? And I think for me, for our family here, success is the ability to remain on that ground. And to remain on a piece of ground means several things, but it means that over the long haul, the things that you're doing they're able to be continued. And that includes soil health, animal health, our health, right? As farmers and people, if we don't have our health, it doesn't continue. And also, financially, fiscally, being able to continue. And so we want to do that. We want to continue, and we will. Steep learning curves, but I love it. I love a challenge. Anyhow, I hope that your week's going well. It's off to a good start, and thanks for watching. Hey, weigh in with a comment here. Let us know where you're at and what you're doing, and hope to catch up. Take care.